Excuse me.
I
Excuse
heard that
me.
before I got my headphones on.
I violently sneeze. I'm a violent sneezer.
I always joke with my wife because I kind of do the same thing. I go, I don't do anything half-assed. I was taught a long time ago, you either get the whole ass or no ass at all.
I like that. That's a good saying. Did you listen to the podcast?
I watched the pre-show, and I meant to tell you, I liked that you got in the narration.
I left it in there.
Of the camera
If you listen to our cold open for this last week was you doing that narration.
Oh.
It wasn't a story, I think a cop story. It was the actual.
Yeah, I didn't get a
was
chance
our
to
cold
listen
open.
to it. Because
I thought I'd laugh my ass off.
Cinco.
Right. De Mayo. De Mayo? De Mayo.
De Mayo? I don't know. All right, Giants up 6-1.
I
in the
can't
fifth
look
inning.
at this. The Sox were still 0-0 when I came down here. Also, my house is, you said you need to get some air moving in your house. Upstairs in my house, today's temperature was like 90 degrees. It's 82 right now still and humid. So I'm in the basement now, and I had to shut the air vents because it was so cold down here. But if you go all the way upstairs on the top floor, holy shit. It's so
It's a
fucking
sauna?
hot up there. Yeah. And my daughter has to put a window unit in her room in the summer.
Jeez.
That's how ridiculous it is. So
See, here, it's been, I won't say cold, but it's been cool, like low 60s. And then all of a sudden this weekend, it's going to jump up to like 90.
yeah, I don't know. We were in the 50s last week. All of a sudden, it's 90 today. So,
Yeah, like yesterday
hey,
was,
man,
I think, low 60s and windy as all hell.
I'm good for short sleeves at work now. I've had enough of the long sleeve bullshit. All right, here we go. In 5.
All right. 4.
Oops. Here we go. One more time. Hi, Brandon. Can you actually hear the music this time?
It's really broken up. It comes in
Wow.
waves.
So do my emotions. Or buckets.
So does
no,
my
I
drinking
come in
habit.
buckets, but my emotions come in waves.
I think you get suspended for that. At least it wasn't the kitchen floor.
Or the dining room table.
No,
I
it's
wanted
yeah, that's what the article said, that table.
So I shared that with a
Son
number
of
of
a-
people. And they're like, where did he get caught? I'm like, I have no idea. In the house somewhere? Maybe he was in the
Yep.
dining room.
Yep. Yeah.
What was that about?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to be involved. I just know
Did
it was
you-
a guy from my academy class.
Was this chick hot?
That was my
lived in the
question.
house?
That was my question. Thank God she was a legal adult.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I can't imagine.
Like,
the other
not
way
that
around.
makes it any better, but it makes it
No.
slightly less terrible. Like, because if that was a kid, he'd need to be shot.
Do we know the context of the initial call for service?
I do. I don't think it's been released, and I'm not talking about it.
Damn. So for those of you just listening,
I'm not. You go ahead. You talk about it. I'm just gonna sit here and laugh and make jokes.
I don't have many details, but someone Brandon knows on a department that he knows where this guy works, went on a call for service at some house and was caught masturbating in the dining room or something. I don't know. So my question to Brandon was, one, valid question, was the complainant hot? I mean, sometimes you just got to rub one out.
That's the first question everybody had was, I mean, was she at least hot, or
Right.
is like, I'm just really confused.
So, oh my God. So that happened. So Brandon knows of this department. So he sent me the link because, and then I sent Brandon a video clip which I didn't get a response back from. But it's my favorite.
I'm very sorry because it came through as I was pulling into the driveway, and I was gassed. I was going straight to bed.
It's one of my favorite lines from any movie that I've been repeating for 35 years since the movie came out. And it's Tom Cruise in his car from A Few Good Men saying, and the hits just keep on coming.
Keep on coming.
That's after Demi Moore tells him that she's going with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had to send that to you because I was just laughing inside and outside.
Yeah. That was...
Waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Like...
There's more shoes at that department that are dropping than Imelda Marcos had in her closet.
Oh, my God, dude. It's been a rough couple weeks. Like, we've known... Like all the officers, like, come on, it's an organization full of trained investigators. Like, we're going to figure some stuff out. Like, we've known about all this stuff from the second anyone else did.
Sure.
And it's like all of us just been waiting, like, all right, when's it going to hit the news? When's it going to hit the news? And then, like, during a press conference, like, some reporter, like, actually brought it up. Like, what about the reports of this? And the AC just was like, well, it's not assault, it's misconduct. Let's please get that part right. I'm like, it's not much better. It's not.
Well,
and then it like got ignored. Like it didn't go out for like a week after that.
Wow. Well, they had other things pending, like
there were a couple other issues
incidents
to deal with.
Wow, you've had a interesting month, I'll say, at that police department that you know about.
It's been interesting.
Is near you and close to your heart, near and dear.
Yeah.
So we started off with that story. What else you got going on at your work this week?
Cinco de Mayo.
You were regretting it coming up.
Oh, no, I love Cinco. It's always
it's me that regrets that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, to me, Cinco is like the most fun work night ever. It does suck when you're on patrol and answering calls for service for 12 hours, but I got to experience it from a swing shift perspective. And what our department does is swing shift, all of swing shift for 12 hours is dedicated to the event, to Cinco, to downtown operations and east side operations, because east side has a very, very heavy Hispanic population and they get wild.
East side!
And then downtown, I mean, it's downtown. Stupid stuff happens because that's where everyone goes. So usually swing shift is dedicated to as a mobile field force, racer enforcement, parking, or traffic control. And then, and you just, that's what you do for it. Well, they took a little bit of a different approach this year. They're like, you know what, we want to set the tone because last year it got out of hand. So they said, look, these people are going to be on traffic diversion. And when it gets heavy, we're going to call for a traffic diversion. And you guys are going to go to your spots and you're going to set up. And we're going to, control traffic that way so we don't get a gridlock situation that leads to a sideshow. The rest of you are going to be on racer enforcement. And all you are going to do, all of you, until we call for traffic diversion, all you are going to do is rip stops. If it moves, stop it. If you can sight it, sight it. If you can tow it, tow it.
Now, this kind of... I started watching the new show on HBO called We Own This City.
I can't wait to watch it. It's next
and what you're describing sounds like what Baltimore was doing back then in the 2010s.
That's probably not good. If we're getting compared to Baltimore, it's probably not good. But let's face it.
Because they're clearing corners and just pulling guys off the corner, gangbangers and drug dealers and shit. And they're like, once we get them off the corners, they're not shooting somebody tonight or getting shot. And then one of the guys is like, well, what are we charging them with? And they're like, well, just some bullshit charges, and we'll let the DA drop them. And then they just get released the next day. But that night, at least there's been no shooting. So they're just randomly collecting people. Anyone that's out, they scoop them up illegally and just bring them to the PD.
Well, I mean, if you have probable cause to make an arrest, it's not really all that illegal.
They were just pulling people off the street.
Well, okay, that's different. Yeah. Like we
so
still
you're
had to
saying,
have if you can pull them over, pull them over.
If you've got let's face CD hanging from the mirror, there's a good one.
Yeah, if you've got some dangly shit from your mirror obstructing your vision, I'm going to pull you over. If you don't have mud flaps, I'm going to pull you over.
Well, whoa. Slow down to the mud flap thing. I don't understand that one.
You don't understand the mud flap one?
If I don't have mud flaps on my car, you're gonna pull me over?
So, if more, excuse me, if more than half of your tire is exposed, so like lifted trucks, right?
Yeah.
If more than half of your tire tread is exposed, you are required by California Vehicle Code to have mud flaps. If your tire extends beyond the body of your truck or vehicle and you do not have fender flares, you are required to have mud flaps. If you do not have mud flaps, I can pull you over.
What if you don't have fender flares?
Do you have mud flaps?
No, fuck the mud flaps. And no fender flares. I'm just egregiously driving down the street with big-ass tires.
Then I'm going to pull you over, boy.
Now, we got the bumper height thing for trucks that are lifted. They have to lower their bumper because it has to be no less than 24 inches off the ground. Okay.
Yeah, you got to have, like, the mounting of the license plate. X amount. Like, between, like, there's a range that it has to be.
Okay.
So basically, I told my recruiter, I go, look, I'm not going to tell you.
Hold on. The first thing you told them to do was not masturbate in someone's kitchen. Then you told them this.
Well, apparently I used to think that went without saying. But I looked her in the eye. I said, hey, no jerking off.
Right. Well, no flicking the bean because it's a woman.
No, we're not DJ Diddles. We're not doing any of that.
No bean flicking.
None of that. So I said, all right. Now, this is the way I do things. On Cinco de Mayo weekend or these high visibility weekends where there's high probability for shenanigans. If I pull you over, you're getting a ticket. I don't give warnings.
Wow.
No, but this is your car. I'm not going to mark you down. However, I expect tickets. And she looked at me. Okay. She's very quiet. Like, she doesn't say a whole lot.
Okay.
And
that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine, but like then I start saying random shit just to get a reaction out of her.
Right.
Because she's 23. She's the same age as my little sister. It's weird.
Oh, yeah, because you're older now. So
yeah, because I'm 35. So
Boy,
we go out there
35.
and she just started ripping. I mean, it was fun because we were just out there. We didn't have to worry about calls for service or anything like that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It's just go out there and make as many stops as you can. I think for the entire weekend, at least as far as the just enforcement stuff went from us, let's see here. We seized 16 illegally possessed firearms, 32 felony arrests.
Wow.
And 467 traffic citations with dozens of vehicles impounded from sideshow activity.
Damn. Now, do you guys, when we impound a vehicle, there's a $500 impound fee that they have to pay to the village before they get their car back. Then they go pay the tow company separate.
The tow company has their own thing, but I don't think they have to pay the city anything. I also don't know for
missing
sure.
out on some serious revenue.
Yeah, well,
you would know because you have to fill out paperwork.
We're a kinder, gentler department that looks for every excuse to not tow cars. But on very rare occasions, they go, you know that little memo that we sent out after you passed probation because you were towing everything for 6 months in a day so that you could search cars? Oh, yeah? Yeah, you can start towing cars again for everything. I'm like, sweet.
Nice.
Because that's what we would do. We're like, hey, man, can I search your car? No. All right, well, I mean, your registration's super expired, so I'm going to tow your car. And I'm going to do an inventory of it.
That's not a towing offense on our department.
Ours is, if you are 6 months and 1 day expired, I can tow your car.
Oh, there has to be a stipulation. You're 6 months and 1 day.
Yeah. It's not just like, oh, your registration just expired, I can tow your car. No, that's a dick move. But they were saying it was disproportionately impacting lower income people. So, like, don't do that. I'm like, but I still have the legal authority to do it.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that pesky law. Getting in the way of helping criminals. All right. So anyway,
helping the criminals.
So on Cinco de Mayo, and I won't get into the management of resources because I don't want my blood pressure to go up. We started out as a... No, are you trying to show your tit?
No, man, I'm just adjusting myself.
You're just like,
seat.
Look at it. Just look at it.
I'm scratching my back on the back of the chair, actually.
It looks weird. Looks very sexual in nature.
I don't have a back scratcher here, although I got a bunch of wood under here.
You should build one.
There we go.
So
wow,
we started out making a ton of stops, and they called for their traffic diversion, and then basically we went and met up with our team to start responding to sideshows. And then we jetted down to like the south end of the city, got canceled en route to go back downtown, started going back downtown, got canceled from that to go back to the south end, landed at the south end, realized, no, they're not here. They're actually downtown. Downtown's getting out of hand. So we jammed back through gridlock traffic to get downtown. And
what are the sideshows for those people that haven't heard?
Okay,
that
so
before?
if you don't know what a sideshow is, it's basically a group of car enthusiasts, we'll call them, take over intersections and do donuts, and there's usually guns in the crowd. Usually results in some sort of violence, somebody getting shot, stabbed, murdered, hit by a car. It's super dangerous, and don't do it. The videos, I'm not gonna lie, the videos are fun to watch.
Can you show me where they are? I've never seen one.
They're on YouTube. Just type in like Oakland sideshow.
Okay.
Oakland sideshow. They do them great. So we finally get downtown, start clearing that out, and then we get tasked with blocking off one of the numbered streets that crosses the main road that goes through downtown. So we're like, okay, cool. And we sit there and we deal with drunk people walking by, driving by, and then finally we get released from it, and we're loading up the cones and all that stuff, and we hear our SWAT team call out, hey, priority traffic. We have a person, we just located a person shot. And it's like 8 blocks from us. So I look at her and I go, because we had just both said, like, hey, let's go to the bathroom. Let's go find a bathroom because we both got to pee. And I look at her and I go, just go.
Hold it.
Yeah.
Hold your pee.
Think dry thoughts. So we land. She finds a witness, gets a statement from him, and then I start looking around, and I notice that we're the only ones wearing a patrol uniform. I'm like, there's a lot. There's a SWAT guy. There's special ops there. Go grab her. Hey, go get the car. Well, I got to see who's taking the geo or taking the main report.
Out of here.
I got to find out who's taking the main report so I can tell them what I did. I go, no, go get the car. She goes, but I go, shut the fuck up and go get the car. She goes and gets the car, and I slowly back away. I see one of my buddies that's on the SWAT team. I go, we're leaving. We got a statement. And he starts laughing because he knows exactly what I'm doing.
Avoiding the paper?
I get in the car. I go, you need to drive.
Away.
Go to the airport. We're going to go pee. Because I knew what was going to happen. We were going to get stuck with the report.
Right.
And that's not what we were tasked to do.
Right.
That's for the midnight patrol
regular
officers
patrol
to come take.
Yeah.
So, but that's special ops is notorious for doing that, where they'll show up to a shooting, do a bunch of stuff, and then when it's time to actually do the work,
right.
they slowly back away.
Yeah. Right. There's nothing to see.
So I was joking. I was telling everybody, I go, hey, I pulled a special ops on special ops. I'm like, what do you mean? I go, we showed up, we did all the cool guy shit, we took a statement, and then we got the fuck out.
But what does she do with that statement then? Forward it to the patrol officer that responded?
Yeah, she writes it up as a supplemental report to the main report.
Okay.
It gets uploaded with the main report. So, I mean, as a courtesy, we like to tell people, hey, I did this, and they can put it in the report. It's like, hey, refer to officer so-and-so's report for further details on this. So we got the hell out of there. And then came back on Friday night, and we're on actual Cinco. We were assigned over to the east side of
your city,
the east side of the city. And on Friday night, we were actually assigned downtown. So we were going to be one of the traffic diversion cars, which on your Friday, it's not a bad gig because very little chance you're going to end up with paper and have to work a lot extra. So I told her, I go up until they call for the diversion. You can do whatever you want. You can make stops. You can go sit in a parking lot or whatever you want to do. Just remember, you are being graded on like self-initiated activity and all this other stuff that I have to see. And if I don't see it, I have to write that I didn't see it and why I didn't see it. So I'd maybe go do some stuff. And she did. She cruised the main drag and just pulled everything over she could and wrote a ton of tickets. So
cool.
It was a fun weekend. And then the reason we're recording on a Tuesday is because I took Tuesday and Wednesday off. So I don't have any cool stories from there.
Yeah, so our podcast might be delayed a day, depending on how much.
You'll get over it.
Just so people know why it's late, because we recorded on a late day, and I got to go back to work tomorrow night. So that's it.
So, Mike, how was your week at work? I mean, I did a lot more. Like there was some. Actually, no, I'll talk about this real quick. So the night before Cinco, we had
Quattro.
No, not even Quattro. It was Trace. It was Trace De Mayo.
Trace De Mayo.
Yeah, so a couple of a couple of Sereno hoods got shot up by Norteños. And then on the 4th, Quattro de Mayo, Star Wars Day, for those of you normal people.
May the Quattro be with you.
May the Quattro be with you. I was taking my recruiter, and we heard in briefing that like one of the Norteño parks got tagged up with a bunch of Sereno stuff. So I'm like, let's go check some of our parks and see what's up. And sure enough, our Norteño parks were tagged up with a bunch of Sereno stuff. And I asked her, I go, hey, have you ever seen game tagging before? She's like, no, I have no clue what any of this means. I go, cool, get out of the car, let me show you. And I'm explaining every little thing. And I go and I look at another part, and I go, uh-oh. She goes, what? I go, you see this right here where it says, F this guy? This guy? This guy's a somebody. Like a big somebody. Like somebody's going to die over this.
Yeah.
So.
But not a good person.
Ready.
No, just a
piece
bag,
of shit.
So who cares?
Yeah. Hey, Mike. I care.
Sure you do.
Okay. All lives matter.
Okay.
So.
You're right. Let's be politically correct.
Check your privilege. Okay.
Okay. I've got plenty, apparently.
So. You're like a middle-aged white cop, male.
I'm middle-aged. Okay. I hope I don't have to be 120.
Give me the benefit of the doubt, man.
Okay.
All right?
Thanks, man. I'm only halfway through my life.
Yeah. You still got. I mean, you're on the downhill portion.
That's comforting.
So, I'm explaining all this gang graffiti to her.
Yeah.
And I'm partially trying to like scare her for Cinco, because she hears all these horror stories from like,
of course,
back in the 90s, and last year got out of hand, and because everyone was coming out from COVID and all that stuff. So I was kind of like, oh, well, somebody's gonna die. She's like, what? I go, yeah. I go, and you know when it's gonna happen? It's gonna happen tomorrow. Like that is the perfect time to do it. Because we're going to be busy with everything. Everyone's going to be out and about. Like, someone's going to walk up to another dude in the crowd and just be like, bam, dead. And she's like, what? And, like, I don't mean to sound like she's a coward or anything, because she's not.
No, I'm not.
But she's just like,
you're not implying that.
No, like, she's like, that sounds awful. Like, it's going to be. It's going to be real bad. And guess where it's going to probably happen? Right here.
In front of this graffiti.
Yeah. So, like, actually, the shooting that she went to on Cinco was actually her first shooting that she'd ever been to.
Oh.
And I was like, well, see? It's not that bad.
Right.
She says, yeah, it's not. Like, yeah.
Get used to seeing this.
Yeah, this is going to happen a lot more. It's going to be a hot summer. Yeah. So, it was fun, though. It was. I enjoy the gang stuff because it's interesting to me, and I mean, even the victims are kind of shitheads. Most of the time, like they usually have warrants, so it's like you just take
majority of the time. Yeah.
So it's fun. I enjoy it. So how was your week, dear?
Sad.
Well, that's right, because I made a boo boo in the pre-show, and
no, there's a number of reasons. It was probably one of the saddest weeks of my life. So Monday night I was off, and I went in on Tuesday night, and what happened before Monday, I needed to take the night off. So we have 5 guys, and my buddy Drew had originally had Monday scheduled off because he's on the list for CFD. And there was an academy starting, so he figured he'd schedule some days off in case he needed them. So I wake up Tuesday, and Brandon's going to take a pause here. I'm going to pause because I need Brandon to hear this story. So we'll be right back after this message from Marazzo Woodworking. Hey, are you looking for a flag? I know a guy. He makes awesome flags. Some have lights. Some have police patches on them. Some are as big as 5 feet wide, which isn't really, really big because there have been some bigger ones that have been made. But Mike does those too. Cutting boards, charcuterie boards, games, bar games, you name it. Even kitchen islands, which he's building right now. So call Marazzo Woodworking. Now back to the show. I just did an ad.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No,
we'll write some copy for your business, and I'll do that next.
Yeah. So freaking. So Andy's doing 75 hard. I don't know if you've heard of this program.
No.
So the guy, I forget which supplement company he came up with, but he put out a book. It's called 75 Hard, and then you're supposed to for 75 days drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages out of a self-betterment or entrepreneurial style book. Take a picture of yourself, stick to a diet, and work out twice a day for at least 45 minutes, with one of those workouts being outside. So Annie's been doing this, and she's almost halfway. She sent me a text, hey, can you throw down the yoga blocks for me? Because this doubles as like a workout room for us.
Right.
So we have an opening at the top of our stairs that I can kind of toss stuff down into the living room. So I tossed one down, and she's in the middle of her workout. She saw it coming. I just tossed it down, and she just watches it just wham right on her thigh.
Nice. I thought I was going to hit her in the head.
Well, that's what I was like, okay, well, maybe she just can reach that one. I'll make this one closer.
Here we go.
I'll make it closer to her
head.
Arms that are up by her head. Like tossing, boom, ooh, and she's on the ground, just watches it come in. And I'm like, just move it, catch it, something.
Hopefully, she's not teaching kids how to catch baseballs.
No, that's my department.
Okay, thank God.
Oh God. So yeah, it's the.
It really is hard.
Thank God it was just a little foam block.
75 hard is getting really difficult for her.
Yeah.
All right, so
so the saddest week of your life.
One of the saddest weeks.
As I'm laughing in the background. Yeah. Totally unrelated.
So over the weekend, I asked Drew. I really needed Monday, so I asked him if he was going to need that Monday, and he said no. So I was at work on Sunday night, and he was off. So I canceled his day off, and I put a day off in for me. So now I'm off, and he has to come into work. But he wakes up at noon on Monday to a phone call from CFD. You report tomorrow. So now he texts me at noon. I'm sleeping. I get up. I get a message from him. CFD called me. I have to report tomorrow. And I call the DC, and he's pissed because now he can't go into work for Monday night shift because he has to be downtown Tuesday morning. And we only have 4 guys scheduled to work. So now they have to put up for overtime. So it worked out for me because they didn't make me cancel my day and go in. But when I went in on Tuesday, Drew's done. I mean,
oh, wow.
One of my best friends at the police department, I texted him when I got up, asked him how it went. He said, I'll be in after roll call and traffic dies down so I can tell you guys. So he came in Tuesday evening about 8 o'clock, and I helped him empty his locker. So he's a firefighter now, or he's in the academy.
All right, so we have to hate him.
I can't.
Just go pee on his car.
I pee on his fire truck.
Yeah, just go pee on his fire truck. He'll be the probie. He'll have to clean it.
Yeah.
I think you should absolutely do that.
So we lost Drew. And now we have 4 guys on our shift, which is minimum, so no one can take time off. And I'm the low man.
That sucks.
Which will mean forcing of overtimes. And
it sounds like a really good time to retire.
It really does. We get the rookie who's in FTO on day shift now. He comes to our shift. I'm looking at my calendar. He comes to our shift on the 25th of May. So then we'll be training him on our shift. And he stays on an FTO until August when he gets cut. So we won't have a 5th guy that counts until August.
Jeez.
And they're so brilliant at my department that they won't take someone off the day shift, one of the low men, and put him on our shift, which they should do because during the day we have chief, deputy chief, commander, 3 detectives all in the station with patrol that if there was something that broke, they could go handle. You're still a cop. Grab a fucking car.
No.
If there's an emergency,
they're
go
very
out and deal with it.
Specialized.
So
cannot be disturbed with patrol.
So we lost Drew. It ruined the whole week. But a Thursday, I had a job interview, which I'll tell you about. So when I came back to work for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when I was gone on vacation, there's a family that we have in town that's just the shit. They're the shit, one of the shittiest families. Of course, they're in the east side.
Not the shit, like in a good way.
Not
right?
the shit, cool way, but like these. So we had a couple calls there for the last few years, and I think that the woman who is the mom, she had a 20-ish-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid. While I was on vacation, shot himself in the head. And this is a good one.
Huh.
He was having this. He was trying to prove to his girlfriend. He's like, man, if you really love me, he takes the magazine out of his semi-automatic pistol. He puts his face right up to her face, so like nose to nose. And he's got the gun up to his head, and he goes, if you really love me, you would let me do this. And he pulls the trigger, but forgot there was a bullet in there.
Whoops.
So she was splattered.
Suicide. That's not
brain.
suicide. That's stupid. That's Darwinism.
That's Darwinism. Uncle Harold said he won the Darwin Award. I already told him about that one.
First place.
So this woman lost her son this way. So this weekend on Friday,
Very sad.
We get a call of an unresponsive male at that apartment. And I'm like, how many are left over there? The fuck?
They just leave him there? They forget about him?
Yes. There's flies and
He's
maggots.
still dead.
So I fly over there, not wanting to even go near this place. And she's like, it's 4 a.m. Okay. I walk in with fire, or before fire gets there, and there's this kid who's passed out on her couch from either taking Xanax and alcohol or something. She's like, he won't wake up. So I give him the chest rub, you know that, right? It wakes anybody
The
up.
sternum rub.
I get him to move and like swat my hand away, so I know he's not dead. So I'm waiting for fire to get there. And in the meantime, I'm looking around the apartment, and here's her 4-year-old daughter playing with a Rubik's Cube. It's 4 a.m. And here's her 9-year-old son playing a video game. It's 4 a.m.
Maybe they're early risers.
I go up to the little girl, and I'm like, hi, honey, why are you awake? And she's like, I was watching The Lion King. My brother shot himself in the head. All right. And then I said to the kid, why are you up at 4 a.m? He goes, I don't like going to bed. I'm like, all right, parent of the year.
Fair enough.
I was disgusted. I just wanted to take all the kids away from her. She already lost
got
one.
to take a kid away this week. Good.
Good.
This week.
It's sad, but good. Because they don't deserve them.
Well, I took it from one parent to the other parent.
You gave it to the other parent.
I'm not sure the other parent's much better than the first parent, but he had the court order that said, give the kid.
Okay. Yeah, so.
And that like broke my heart. Because she's like crying. And then she's, Daddy!
Aww.
I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So then I came home and like sat in my youngest daughter's room and just like stared at her in the rocking chair. I'm like,
yeah. Well, Friday morning ended. Yeah, that's right. Friday night ended on Saturday morning, as it usually does. Any time a morning follows a night. And Gio got a call for an unresponsive male. So I knew the address. It sounded familiar. And I figured he'd need a ET to do some photography work for him. So I flew over there. And as soon as I walked in the house, I'm like, oh, this is so-and-so's house. And the guy was 59, hard drinker, smoker. I've known him for 20 years. He's had been a problem. But I played baseball with his kid, softball, and his ex-wife works for our village at the community center. She was on our softball team as well. She's been a friend for 20 years, and her kid. So the stepmom was like freaking out, and I'm like, I don't have the kid's number anymore. I lost when I switched phones, so I got it from her. She's leaving him a message. Your dad's dead. I'm like, holy shit, that's not a message you want to leave on the phone. Give me the phone.
No, you don't make that. Don't do that.
No, what is that? So finally she called him back and she said, one of your police officer friends is here. So she hands me the phone. And I said, I heard the last message your stepmom left you. Can you come over here to the house? You know, your dad passed away. I'm sorry. He's like, all right, I'll be right over. I said, I can't reach your mom. Can you shoot her a message too? He's like, yeah, I'll give her a call. So they showed up. I shot the scene and stuff for Geo, and then I stuck around for these two to show up because I know them. And one of the hardest things to do in our job is those notifications. It's always bad, even when you don't know the people, to tell them a loved one died. But when you know the people, you know, it hits a little bit harder. So, and I was already feeling emotional that week, during the week, because of, you know, Drew and stuff. So we had that. All I wanted to get was breakfast on Saturday night into Sunday morning. I grabbed my bagel and my strawberry frosted donut from Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm driving back to the station. I'm not in my zone. I'm in the other zone, and on the street is a car right in the middle of the road, just sitting there with its hazards on, and I'm like, oh, should I turn right at this block before I get to this car? It's like, you know, early in the morning, there's no traffic out. Can I totally avoid the vehicle and then the call comes out and Danny has to handle it, or should I just not be a dick? So I pulled up behind it, and I saw that the front right tire was facing in the opposite direction, like that way. Yeah, it was turned to the right. And I looked at the rim. I walked up on the passenger side. There's two people in the car, and I look at the rim. It's all scuffed up and damaged. And then I look behind me, one block behind me, our road jogged slightly to the left, right there at that street. And every fucking drunk driving through town hits that. Yeah, we have probably 100 incidents a year where a drunk hits that curb. So the guy on the passenger side rolls down the window. He's hammered. I look at the driver. He's on his phone trying to get a tow. So what happened? Driver's like, I don't know, man. I blew a tire. I go, blew a tire? You hit that curb right there. That's what you did. And I looked at his buddy. I go, where are you guys coming from? You going home for the night? It's like, 6 a.m. He's like, yeah, man. This guy was right. I go, you're bombed. I look at the driver. How about you? Had anything to drink? No. I'm like,
maybe.
Like,
just water.
I go,
it was clear at least.
Right. You know how I know you're drunk? You hit that curb. Every drunk hits that curb. And his buddy goes, he's not drunk. He's just not from around here. I'm like, okay. How about I just get you how about I don't do a crash report and I get you a tow and you're fucked and you have to deal with all the costs on your own. And I don't have to arrest anybody. So
I like that.
I got him a tow, and that's when I put on Instagram on my stories those two handicapped fucking tow truck drivers.
Oh, God. Those were the tow truck guys?
The guy on the crutches?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other retard behind him trying to hook up a rope somewhere. I don't know what the fuck those guys were doing. My buddy Troy was off, so he's a great tow truck driver, but he's got these two handy, not capable people that show up all the time, and they take a 10-minute tow and they turn it into 40 minutes. And I had to deal with them all weekend. Every crash scene we had, these two idiots show up. I'm like, oh, my God.
Frickin' frack.
Yeah, so then I just had, of course, Sunday into Monday morning ends at one of our busiest intersections, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, when you're supposed to be winding down, take the major crash at this major intersection, and it's me. And then, of course, the guys from Mexico, he's got no fucking license, and so I had to work overtime into Monday morning. So it gave me a chance to go in and talk to the chief, because my niece is coming up this week from Florida, and she asked me if she could do a ride-along. And I'm like, yeah, well, we don't really do it anymore, so I have to ask, So on Monday morning, I asked my former sergeant, who's now a lieutenant, and he's in charge of investigations. I asked him, hey, can I have my niece do a ride along with me? And he goes, they stopped that. I go, yeah, I know. And he's like, the chief doesn't like him. I'm like, well, he goes, you're going to have to ask the chief because I'm fucking sick of this place and I want to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to talk to these people anymore. So I'm like, okay, no, I got to see the chief. So it turned out, since I got stuck on overtime on Monday morning, I was able to go into the chief's office. So I asked him about the ride-along, and he's like, we don't do ride-alongs anymore. I said, no, I know, but it's just my niece, and she's a dispatcher, and she wants to enter the police academy in Florida like you guys can do in California. You can just go to the police academy.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we really don't do ride-alongs anymore. I go, yeah, you told me. I said, I wrote that policy. I wrote the ride-along policy like 20 years ago. I said, it's a good policy. Why don't you do it? And his response was, I just don't like it. And I said to him, is it because of Jeremy? One of our guys did a ride-along with some young student. She was 19 or 20, whatever. She was a college student.
Yeah, he did.
She's now his wife. She became a Chicago copper. Then she left Chicago and went up north to one of the high flutie-tootie suburbs, but they're married. So I'm thinking the chief thinks that something happened in the squad car.
It probably did.
That's what the chief would do. I'm thinking.
I mean, it may not be a smart man, but
yeah,
I can put two and two together.
Two and two together. So anyways, he finally said yes. So my niece is coming up on Thursday. She's going to do a ride along with me for a few hours, maybe 4 hours. That'll be fun. And then I told him that I'm looking to get a job and get out of there. And I said, I hate to dump this on you, but I had an interview on Thursday and I'm waiting to hear back. He's like, all right. He goes, I want you to stay. And I go, I want to stay too, but I want to stay when I go on. I want to be on days. So we had that whole discussion. And he's like, all right, just keep me in tune. So the interview was for the community relations supervisor position of this really nice suburb. And you run the CSOs, you train and schedule the CSOs, you handle all the crossing guards, they report to you, you oversee the property evidence stuff, which is run by a sworn personnel. You also, like I said before, oversee the social media stuff. Then you also, the main part of the job is you are a conduit from the community to the police department. So you represent the police department. One of the questions in the interview was one of the synagogues gets tagged and the leaders are feeling unsafe. What do you do? One of them was you have a CSO who's continually late. All that stuff. There was only 6 questions, I think. But when I walked in, it was the chief, deputy chief, some commander, and the HR person. So I introduced myself to the chief, and I congratulated him on his 1-year anniversary at the police department because he came from Chicago to be their chief. And it was just in April. And then I gave him each a packet of stuff with my management experience in it and ideas I had for the police department. And then when we were going over some of that stuff, one of the things I suggested to the chief was a monthly podcast. Just the chief's show where he can address issues going on in the village and answer questions and stuff from residents and that kind of stuff. And his eyes lit up. He really liked that. He goes, I'm looking for new ideas. We have the same boring ideas. I'm looking for some fresh ideas.
We have the same crappy ideas. Slow turns to his colleagues.
Yeah. The guys who have been here for years. So that was kind of, I felt good about that, that he actually was interested in doing that and he liked some of the ideas I had. But then I told him, I said, here's a mistake I think they made. I saw the guy leaving before me. He walked right past me. They shouldn't be scheduled so closely together, right? I know they want to knock him out, but you should never see the other contestants is what I'm calling them, applicants. He did say when I first walked in, he's like, we've had 90 applicants.
Jeez.
We're only interviewing 4 people. So I made the top 4. Which was
the final
a compliment. 4. The final 4. So it went well, I think. I'm going to say he was in his 60s because he had gray hair, but he could, all right,
so you probably have him on age.
Might have him on age. He's probably, though, like a city planner or city manager or something. Because I said to the chief, I'm like, he goes, we're only interviewing 4 people. And I said, yeah. I said, oh, wow. I'm honored. I said, I saw the last guy walk out with bags of experience under each arm. Kind of laughed. I said, so anyways, we'll see. They said by Friday, which had just passed, or midweek the latest, which would be tomorrow. And either way, I just want to know because I need to move on and either keep applying for other jobs.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's always that built-up anxiety anytime you apply for a position anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're, 26 years old going for your first real job, or if you're, 56 going for the thing that, is going to kind of ride you out
to the sunset
until you no longer want to work.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm humbled and honored that I was one of the 4 people they interviewed, and it was nice to get some feedback. And if I don't get hired, I'm going to sell them a flag or 4, one for the department and one for each guy. I can look at it that way, and then I can ask them, where did I go wrong in the interview?
That's not brown paint on that flag.
Right. Yeah. So that was my week in law enforcement and personal life stuff. And I'm looking at my notes for housekeeping. And last week you were housekeeping. 2 things. One, I asked you in the pre-show, and you said you had mentioned you wanted me to do a YouTube video on something, and I asked you what that was, and you said you want me to show you how I do my badges on my flags.
Yeah.
Patches and badges. So I'll do that. And then
so I can rip that off.
Of course. You have to pay me each time you use one.
No, I'm not doing that.
That's the rule. I don't make the rules.
It's in the Geneva Conventions. I don't have to do it.
Right. Okay.
It's written in there.
The other housekeeping issue came from last week's episode when I was focusing the camera. So you're like, I don't know why he keeps doing this, or why is he focusing in so tight? So just so you know, and this works with any kind of SLR camera or a studio camera. In news or in sportscasting or in news settings, the anchor sits down and holds up a piece of white paper first, right? And then the camera guy zooms in on the white paper. You white balance your camera that way. Then they pull back out. Then the anchor sets the piece of paper down, and the cameraman zooms all the way into their face. And then fine-tunes that, because this is where you want the camera focused, not behind you, not here in front of you. It has to be right where you're sitting. So that was the purpose of that, focusing in on Grogu, because that's where I would be sitting. So now I'm all in focus, and everything else is not sharp at focus. So that's that. I taught you something today. You don't have to go to school tomorrow. You're welcome.
Sweet.
All right, on to the law enforcement.
I have a housekeeping thing. Actually, no, it can wait for the woodworking stuff. It's more related to that.
Okay.
Not so much law enforcement stuff.
On to the Law Enforcement Officer Down Memorial page, which can be found at odmp.org, if anybody wants to follow along. It looks like it was a good week, except for a few people. I'm going to mention 2 that I don't think were on here when we recorded last week, because you know how they add a few later on.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one will be
as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't go down that far, but I'm glad you saw that. Of the Ohio County Sheriff's Office in Kentucky. I always find that weird. It's in Kentucky, but it's called the Ohio Sheriff's Office.
Yeah,
Ohio
these
County.
are weird.
Deputy Sheriff James Jerry Critchlow. End of watch was April 20th, 2022. He suffered a heart attack while directing traffic on Route 231 in front of Ohio County High School. He drove himself to a medical facility after experiencing the symptoms. He passed a short time later. 43 years of service, 13 with the Ohio County Sheriff's Office as the SRO. He also served with the Kentucky State Police for 30 years. He's survived by his wife, daughters, granddaughters, mother, and siblings. That is a man who dedicated his entire life to law enforcement. The KC Police Department in South Carolina. Police Officer Andrew Barr. End of watch April 24th, 2022. Police Officer Drew Barr was shot and killed as he and other officers responded to a domestic disturbance call at a home at about 2:45 a.m. The officers encountered a man in the front yard who opened fire on them, fatally wounding Officer Barr. The man then barricaded himself inside of the home until committing suicide 7 hours later. Officer Barr had served with the Casey Police Department for 6 years and was assigned to the K-9 Division. He also served as a captain with the Monetta Volunteer Fire Department. Officer Barr had previously been shot and wounded in the line of duty after being ambushed following a vehicle pursuit of a stolen car on May 27, 2017. He was 28 years old, served 6 years. Knox County Sheriff's Office in Illinois, Deputy Sheriff Nicholas D. Wiest, April 29th, 2022 was his end of watch. He was struck and killed by a vehicle as he deployed spike strips during a vehicle pursuit of an armed subject. Officers from the Galesburg Police Department had responded to a call involving an armed subject at a local gas station at about 8 a.m. The man fled in a vehicle, and the Galesburg officers initiated a pursuit. Deputy Wiest was deploying spike strips on U.S. Route 150 in Henry County when the vehicle struck him. The subject's vehicle then crashed into a field, and he was taken into custody after a brief foot pursuit. Deputy Wiest had served with the Knox County Sheriff's Office for 4 years and previously served with the Mercer County's Sheriff's Department and the Aledo Police Department. He served 10 years total and is survived by his wife, 2 children, mother, father, and sister. And then East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office in Louisiana, Corporal Nick Tullier, end of watch May 5th, 2022. Corporal Nick Tuller succumbed to injuries sustained 6 years earlier when he was ambushed by a subject outside a convenience store before 9 a.m. Officers had received a report of a subject walking along the roadway carrying a rifle. As responding officers arrived in the area, they were ambushed by the subject. Corporal Tuller was critically wounded. Deputy Sheriff Brad Garofalo of the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, Corporal Montrell Jackson, and Police Officer Matthew Gerald, both of the Baton Rouge Police Department, were shot and killed. 2 other officers were wounded. The subject was shot and killed by other responding officers. Officer Tullier is survived by his parents, his 2 sons, 2 brothers, and 5 nephews. Now for the canines.
Okay, from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina, K-9 Major. End of watch Sunday, April 10th, 2022. K-9 Major was shot and killed while attempting the apprehension of an armed robbery suspect in Granville County, North Carolina. A subject involved in an armed carjacking of a vehicle the previous afternoon was located hiding in the crawl space of a home on Richard Lane in Oxford. Members of the Granville County Sheriff's Office established a perimeter around the home and requested assistance from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. K-9 Major was released into the crawl space to apprehend the suspect. The man fired 2 shots at K-9 Major with an AK-47 rifle, killing him, before exiting the crawl space and surrendering. K-9 Major had served with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office for 3 years. And from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office in Colorado, K-9 Jinx was killed on Monday, April 11th, 2022. K-9 Jinx was shot and killed when responding to the call of a person brandishing a firearm at the 900 block of Manitou Avenue in Manitou Springs at 11 p.m. When El Paso County Sheriff's Office deputies and Manitou Springs police officers arrived on the scene, shots were exchanged. Jinx was killed on the scene. The suspect was shot and killed. Jinx was 3 years old and had been a police K-9 for 2 years.
And that's tough.
Yep.
Too bad that first fucker with the AK-47 didn't die.
Yeah, I mean, could have just
Fuck,
gassed him to death.
he's gonna give up. Why shoot the fucking dog?
Well, nobody wants to get bit.
Just come out. Fuck.
Don't commit armed carjackings. I'm just saying it's a thought.
Brandon, you can't tell criminals not to commit crimes because it's their right to commit crimes.
I'm sorry.
Is that a right? Is the right to commit crimes?
Well, I mean, if it brings you happiness, you could argue, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. They're pursuing their happiness.
Okay.
I'm outside the box. Outside the box.
Thinking outside the box. I hope thinking outside the box gets me a job.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to the woodworking portion of the show.
Where we work with wood, but not our wood. Because that would be wrong.
That would be wrong.
Wood.
Yuck. So you got a big countertop pour coming up.
Yeah. My first ever time working with epoxy. No big deal.
Nothing like jumping right in. Fuck it.
I think I mentioned it in the pre-show. Is you don't ever do anything half-assed. You get the whole ass or no ass at all. And, well, moderation is for cowards.
Good luck.
So, yeah. Tomorrow I am picking up 3 full sheets of MDF and cutting them to fit over the existing cabinets. Then I'm going to make a little dam out of some painter's tape. Then I'm going to pour a shit ton of epoxy over it.
Yeah, you are.
And then I'm going to hope for the best.
Cross your fingers.
I'm scared.
So I used to tell my wife, if you're scared, call the police. You are the police.
I am the police. So today we finished up demo. It was kind of an impromptu thing because I forgot that I took Tuesday and Wednesday off this week, so I had a 5-day weekend.
Surprise!
Yeah. I mean, it's a happy surprise. So
that's a good surprise.
We did Mother's Day and everything, and then came back Sunday night, and then Monday we started on the drive back from my mom's house because we went and saw my mother-in-law and then my mom, and then drove home. On the drive back, we were talking. We got 3 days. We could get pretty far. Like maybe not all the way done, but we could get pretty far.
Yeah.
And so Monday morning, we grabbed our hammers and pry bars and went to town.
Everyone gets a hammer and everyone gets a pry bar.
Everyone got a hammer, everyone got a pry bar, and the kids helped out. And they're like, "Wait, I handed them a hammer. I go, hit this." And I was like, "What? You sure?" "Yeah, hit it." Okay.
Only this time. Only this one time. Don't do it in a week or two.
Yeah, and they laid into it, and they're like, "This is awesome." So they got
finally they get to do some demo stuff.
Yeah, and they're really bummed today when we finished it off, and they're like, "All right, what can I hit next?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're done. We're done with hitting.
Go hit that wall."
Yeah, you hit things now, and I'm gonna hit you back.
Don't make more work for Dad.
Yeah. So I was really surprised because I was fully anticipating having to replace all the drywall, and there's really like maybe 1 or 2 spots I'm going to need to put small patches, but for the most part it came off very clean. So I'm very happy. Ran into a small hiccup today when it came time to do the plumbing. And I mentioned it in the Instagram Live, and I'll mention it here. It's a public service announcement for all of you that live in places with hard water. Your house is probably equipped with a water softener. For the love of all things holy, use it.
What happens if you don't?
Buy the salt, put it in there. It's really simple. You hit the little gen button if you haven't used it in a long time. Fill it up with the salt thing from the local home center. It's not that expensive. Fill it all the way up. There's a little button on your thing. It should say like Gen or something like that. Push that. And then leave it alone. Just make sure it keeps getting filled up. Because if you don't, here's what's going to happen to you.
What happens?
There's going to be a bunch of calcium and a bunch of shit that just builds up on your
like
sinks.
Poop shit? Or
well, not like shit, but like crap. Okay. Like just gunk. Is going to build up on your shower heads, your faucets, and in your pipes. And then eventually you're going to like, hey, I kind of want to switch something out. I don't like this sink from 97. It's 2022. And you're going to go and you're going to turn the knob to shut off the water to the faucet. And it's going to spin. And you're going to think, it's kind of spinning kind of free and easy. Whatever. Not going to worry about it. It's to the off position. I hit the thing for the faucet. No water is coming out. I have succeeded in turning off the water. And you're going to go and you're going to loosen that supply line.
Then what happens?
And then you're going to see some drips, and you're going to be like, oh, it's residual water that's in the supply line. It's totally normal. And then you're going to get that thing just loose enough. Just loose enough for the pressure that's built up in that valve.
Yeah. To
force that son of a bitch off. And you are going to eat about 5-6 gallons in the face. And you're going to have to wear it.
Where? Where is it going to hit you?
In the face.
Yeah.
In the face. And you're going to have a brief moment of panic. And you're going to go, oh, God. My cabinets are going to be ruined.
Yeah.
The wall is going to be ruined.
The floor.
At least it was a tile floor, so that's going to be easier to clean up.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a brief moment of panic, and you're going to be like, I have got to get this fitting back on this valve before all hell breaks loose. And you're going to try to get it on there, and the water pressure is going to blow that thing out of your hand, and you're going to try to put it on, you're going to blow it out of your hand. And then finally, you are going to be so overcome with rage.
Yes.
Pure, unadulterated rage that you're going to take that fitting in your hand and you're going to shove it on top of that valve so hard that the water is going to stop.
That's amazing.
And then you're going to tighten that son of a bitch down. And then for about 10 minutes after, the only word that will come out of your mouth or go through your brain is fuck.
I'd be so mad.
I was furious. I think I broke my record for consecutive fucks said. And that's no small thing. So thankfully, I was the only one home. Everyone else has had dentist appointments. Called a plumber.
Yeah. Oh,
because I put a lot of this on Instagram because it was kind of how I decided to deal with it. I was going to share it with the world. And
sharing is caring.
Yeah. And then you get people that are like, why didn't you just go to the main to the house and shut off the water there? And that's a great question. I'm really glad you asked that. And I'll tell you why. I've been looking for the main for 2 years. I found it
That
today.
might be the first thing I try and find when I move into a house.
It was one of the first things I tried to find. I just can't find it. I figured okay, it's around here somewhere. Like it's going to pop up one of these days randomly. I don't do a lot of plumbing work. I don't see the need for it right away. In case of emergency, yes, but we'll burn that bridge when we get there. And
too late then.
Yeah, I know. I'm a
emergency. Where's the bridge? I don't know where the valve is. Should have found it.
I don't know. I'm just going to shove this fitting on top of it and hold it there until, the end of time. So I called a plumber because I hate plumbing already. And this didn't do much to help that. So he comes out and he's like, where's your water main? Well, that's a good fucking question. I'm hoping you can help me out with that. He looks around and goes,
use your water tracking device and find it.
Yeah, I don't know. You should know this shit, right? And he looks around and goes, yeah, it should be like right here, but there's just the dirt walk path up to your gate. Like, yeah, I know. He goes, I wonder if I got buried. Oh, shut the fuck up. There's no way. There's no way. Nobody would be dumb enough to bury that.
But you forget what profession you work in.
You're right.
So
I know.
Always dumb people out there.
He's poking around and dunk. Yeah, I found it. Like,
wow, he was poking around in the right place.
Yeah.
There's a reason that guy makes $95 an hour. He could have been poking around like 15 yards away from there and not hit anything.
Apparently, and I didn't know this. I because who really looks at curbs? When I look at a curb, I'm looking for a house number.
That's funny. I just look at the house for house numbers. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, a lot of the houses where I work, they don't put it on the house.
Okay.
Or it's so worn out you can't see it. So sometimes the street is the more reliable thing.
I wish we did that.
So on the curb, there's actually like a W imprinted into it.
For water?
For water. He goes, yeah. He goes, wherever this W is, it should be pretty close to that. So if you just kind of follow that line up, that kind of sends you in the right direction. So if you live in California, look at your curb. If you can't find your main, look at the curb. There's a W. Look for the W. Just walk straight. Start poking around. So we found that. Got it shut off. He swapped out the valves. And I got the sink ripped out and the garbage disposal taken off the sink and cleaned out. And there's actually a pretty funny video in my stories of Annie cleaning out the garbage disposal because a bunch of tile and grout and stuff fell in there.
Oh, you didn't just put something over the drain? Like
no, that a smart person would have done that, Mike. What do we know about me? I just do things, and then I go, I probably shouldn't
deal with
have
the
done
consequences later.
Yeah. So she grabbed the shop vac and just stuck it in and started vacuuming up all the shit.
Awesome. Good idea.
So, I mean, hey, I didn't want to reach my hand in there, and I'm sure she didn't want to either. So that was how it got cleaned out. She just sitting there with the shop vac, just getting everything around. Like, hey, whatever. And but yeah, the kitchen's completely demoed, and tomorrow we start building up the new counters and pouring this weekend, hopefully, as long as everything goes according to plan, which, you know, aside from the small hiccup today, everything has gone pretty smooth.
Yeah.
So very little drywall work they got to do, and some easy going straight line or cuts on MDF, and I'm cautiously optimistic.
I've learned something from Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Okay.
Have you seen the movie?
Yes.
Okay. So, like MJ always says, expect disappointment, and you'll never be disappointed.
Exactly. I expected to have to rip out all of the drywall where the backsplash was. I expected the counters or everything underneath the counters to be just a nightmare, but the tile came off the wall very nicely.
Good.
The tile came up off of the cabinets very nicely and in large chunks. That was the really big thing that saved. I think we pulled off I think it's 74 square feet of countertop. And I think we pulled it off in 6 pieces.
Wow. So there was a plywood base?
We were hauling. Yeah, so in the big peninsula portion that we have, because we have it's like a U shape.
Okay.
And we'll just call north the flat portion of the U. So in the north portion, we have the sink. To the west, we have the oven and stove. And then over to the east is just this large peninsula. It's like 3 feet wide. And then we have like another small kind of coffee bar almost things kind of off to the south. And I think for the coffee bar thing and the small portion next to the stove, we were able to get those off in just one piece. And then
excellent.
The main peninsula came off in 2. The sink portion came off in 3. So it worked out really, really nicely. Even the plumber was like, how long you guys been doing, or how long did you guys been doing this? Like, we started yesterday. He goes, wow, you guys are doing a really good job.
Wow, good.
I go, yeah, other than the water issue. Other than the plumbing.
But that wasn't your fault.
No, that was me fixing other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
So, but that's really all I have going on. I need to build a cookbook stand for my stepmom, Janet. I don't think I'm going to get that done before we leave to go see them at the end of the month. Just
cookbook stand? It's to sit on a countertop or something?
Yeah.
Oh, and you just put a cookbook, open it?
Yeah, you put your cookbook there and you can...
Yeah, that's cool. Or your iPad with a recipe on it?
Yeah, you can... Same thing.
Okay.
I would love to get it done in time for our trip, but I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on me to get it done because I got to get this kitchen as close to done as I can.
Yeah.
Over the next weekend or two. So that's pretty much all I have going on. Right. It's just that and actually looked into and working towards getting a seller's permit for the state of California so I can start doing things legitimately.
Yeah, does that cost anything?
No, I just have to set up stuff with the state, and it's a pain in the ass, and I don't like it.
California.
And I have to keep track of sales tax.
Okay. I haven't looked into that if I go to a flea market or something. I'm not really sure.
There's a lot of vendor shows around here. There's like, oh, you got to have a seller's permit to work with, I think it's JDS Supply. They have a lot of tumblers and stuff, like a lot of laser engravable things. To work with them and to get it wholesale from them, you have to have a seller's permit or reseller's permit.
Okay.
So I would like to use some of their stuff, so I got to go through and get all this done. And if I sell it, great. If I don't, then pretty much the only time I have to worry about sales tax is if I do a market or something like that, because Etsy factors all that stuff in and pays the state on my behalf.
Right. I just sold an Etsy thing. I know we were talking about it last week about keeping both.
I haven't sold anything since Easter. Like those empty tombs were a huge hit, so I'm going to keep those up. I'm going to start offering some more signs. I'm trying to get that process really dialed in to where they come out looking really nice.
Yeah, I got a bunch of cool sign ideas, but I just need time.
Yeah, don't we all?
What I've been just inundated with in my shop time is this kitchen island build. So I'm staring at it right now. The camera's resting up inside of the island. So last night last week I did the stretchers to connect the panels, and then I built the base out, put the shelf in it this week, the bottom shelf. Last night I put the center support wall or whatever you want to call it inside of it. So I'm at the point now where I can do shelves, 2 shelves, one on each side, and I had talked to the client initially about a floating shelf system. So I got the Craig Jig floating shelf jig, and last night I marked up where I want, because I don't want to do the whole center panel with shelf pinholes. That doesn't make any sense because you're not going to have it that high up or that low. You know what I mean? So I made a portion, like a third of the center of the end panels and the center panel where I will do these shelf pins. And I'm excited to use the jig because I bought it like 3 years ago and never used it. But before I started drilling holes, I went on to some woodworking websites and read, should I drill the holes before or after finishing, painting? Because if you put the holes in and then you paint, you might get paint in the holes. So people said either or. It didn't really matter. You can clean out the holes with a dowel if you do paint, afterwards. I don't want to paint it and then do it because you might mar the finish, the paint.
Yeah.
Right? If you're putting the jig on it for that. So I'm really at a standstill for the inside of the vanity or the island. The client decided she did want me to decorate the outside, so I'm going to get some 1/4-inch MDF and I'll panel it up all the way around. And I had pre-cut the face frame wood. Number of reasons it's a mistake. One, the length of the vanity, what it was supposed to be and what it actually is different. And then I had pre-cut it to just sit on the face and not worry about any trim that's on the side. But now that I'm going to have trim on the sides, I want the face frame to cover that, obviously, so you don't have end grain, if you will, whatever you want to call it for MDF. So now I've got all this pre-cut, a 3-inch piece of poplar, 72 inches long, and a 4-inch piece, because the 4-inch was going to be on the bottom and the 3-inch on the top. But even the 4-inch, I miscalculated, because now that it's built, I need it to be 4 1/4 inches. So I got a long piece of 4-inch poplar that I can't use for the base anymore of the face frame. So I have to get more poplar for that. And then also, remember we were going to do legs at the corners when they set
the posts.
Top. Right. I've talked her into corbels. because it's only a 12-inch overhang. So I did some research, and I found a bunch of decorative corbels that you can install instead of having the posts. So I was actually going to make some out of just poplar. I found this very simple design that I could cut out on the CNC and just glue like 4 of them together, because I think they have to be 3.5 to 4 inches wide. So they have some strength, you know. So while I'm waiting on that, she said she was going to start looking for corbels. That also means I can't finish the face frame, because the face frame stiles on the ends of the face frame were only going to be 1.5 inches wide. Well, now if I'm putting a corbel up there, that's 3.5 inches wide. The face frame has to be wider than that on those ends, the sides, which means you're going to have thinner doors, because there's going to be 4 doors. And then once you have that end door, there's going to be, once you get inside the cabinet, to the right or the left, depending on what side you're on, there's going to be a setback from the face frame to the interior edge. Instead of normally being an inch, it's probably going to be 3 inches of space in there from the edge of the face frame to the inside of the cabinet. So all these things are going into play now, and I'm glad that she's very patient. She sent me a swatch of the paint that she wants from where she got it, so I can just go to Menards and scan that paint that she wanted with the swatch she sent me a picture of, so I get the exact color she needs. I don't have to wait for her to send me paint or anything like that, so I can go pick that up. So I was hoping to have the shelving done this week, but I return to work tomorrow. So maybe on the weekend, if she gets back to me, I'd like to put in permanent shelves, because I don't know anyone that moves shelves around in lower base cabinets anymore. Normally you just have a set height. I thought it would be a cool option.
We've moved them a couple times. Like I think when we rearranged some stuff, when we put like the KitchenAid mixer.
Okay. So
down
you
below,
have
we
one
had to
cabinet that's
adjust them.
Adjustable shelving, or you have a few?
I think all of our lowers are adjustable shelves.
Okay.
But I don't think we've ever moved them. In the pantry that I built, we have fully adjustable shelves, the entire length, all like 4 or 5 bays.
Okay. I can see that in a pantry, because you can decide what sizes you want.
And I think it's changed like 2 or 3 times, but we have it in a configuration that we like now.
All right.
But a lot of times, and it's the same thing with, if we switch back to law enforcement for a second, like I have an outer carrier vest with MOLLE on it.
Yeah.
So that I can put pouches where I want them, and I can adjust things to find an optimal setup. Like other people have them sewn in. I'm like, well, now you're married to that.
Right.
Versus like, say, I do something to my shoulder and I can't reach something, without pain. Well, now I can adapt to that injury and still be effective.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a little bit of a dramatic.
No, it makes sense.
Comparison, but that's the idea behind having like an adjustable shelf and
being a custom build, you might want adjustable shelving, because you might want to move some stuff around. So we'll see.
How many times do we get something custom and go, man, I really don't like it this way. I wish I could adjust this that much. I mean, it happens all the time.
I have decided to make the shelves out of poplar, so they're not just plywood where I'd have to edge band them and paint them. I think poplar is going to be a better choice for them. I quoted it as melamine, a melamine shelf, but I'm going to do poplar. I don't care. I'm going to take a little bit of a hit on my final money that I make on the job, but it'll be a nicer piece, and I don't care. You know what I mean? So I got that going on. And then one last thing was, I was looking for a full-size drill press. Mm-hmm. So my buddy Marty at Red Lake Woodshop had sent me a Facebook Marketplace ad last week in reference to a drill press he found. He knew I was looking for one. And so I called this, I don't know if we spoke about it. They sold the drill. So I went and actually picked up a different one. Yeah. I had to drive an hour up to this place called Beach Park, and it's just north of a city called Waukegan, which is a shithole. So I mistakenly ate and drank something on the way up there. So I'm getting up into Waukegan area, and now I got to pee really bad. And this is not a place you just pull over and pee. I probably stick out like a sore thumb, for one. And I'm looking for a McDonald's or something, and I can't find. There's nothing but desolate warehouses and broken down houses. And I'm like, oh, boy. where am I going? So I finally found a gas station that didn't look too shady. And I was able to get gas and take a leak outside because they have an outdoor bathroom. They won't let anyone pee inside. You got to go outside with a key. So I'm like head on a swivel, got my gun on. I'm looking around, Made it out of there alive. I get to the house. The guy gives me an address like 532, whatever the street name is. I show up. There's no 532. I'm like, there's 530. There's 534. There's no 532. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, the fuck? Does this guy not know where? The guy who's selling the tools is selling them for a friend. And that friend's mom has said tools. So I called the guy. I'm like, dude, I'm on the street, but there's no address. The address you gave me does not exist. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting on front of someone's house. I'm going to call the cops soon in my tinted windows in my pickup truck. He's like, I look for a garbage can and a beat-up white pickup. I pulled the garbage can, put it on the street because it's not garbage night, but I thought it would be I would remember where it's at. It's on the opposite side of the street. So I happen to be sitting in front of that house too, but he just had the wrong address. So I pull in, I'm waiting for him. We load this drill press. It's a Craftsman 10-speed full drill press. Maybe was used, might have 5 hours of use on it. If it had an hour meter. It's older, but it's in pristine condition. And then it came with belts. The guy gave me belts and there was a manual. Oh, wow. Yeah, so me and this guy loaded up. And then he says to me, hey, he's got a storage unit 3 miles from here with more tools. Want to go take a look? I'm like, fuck it. It's an hour and 15-minute ride from home.
I'm here.
Might as well go, yeah. I followed him over to the storage unit, and then I ended up buying, he had a big plastic container with probably about 25 spring clamps and some ratchet clamps. I gave him $20 for all of those. Got like 30 clamps. And then I found a Porter cable finish nailer, 16 gauge finish nailer, not a brad nailer, not a pin nailer, but a Porter cable pneumatic finish nailer. I gave him $50. It's brand new. It's probably like a $200 gun.
Yeah.
So had a good haul from Facebook Marketplace.
I'll say.
And then, the guy finds out you're a cop. So he's like, I own some property and I had this guy who was leaving shit on. I'm like, oh, here we go.
You got a victim.
We just went through that whole thing. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. The guy wanted to talk my ear off. He was a nice guy, though. But
you should have told him, hey, I'll send you my hourly rate if you want to start asking these questions.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
So $200 spent, drill press and a Porter cable nailer and some clamps and shit. It's still sitting in my garage. My son helped me put the drill press in the garage, and I can't get it in the basement without some help. So I'm going to go out there and clean it up. It doesn't need much cleaning. But the Allen key that locks the motor head and everything to the pole, that's a little rusted. So I think I'm going to just soak it with WD-40. And I think I can take that whole thing off. And then it's much easier to get downstairs.
And take it down in pieces?
Yeah. And then I'll polish up this and wax and everything. But I don't really have a place to put it right now down here because it's going to go where my benchtop drill press is. But that's sitting on a bench that needs to be cut down. Yeah. And then that can go in there. So I have it when I'm ready to put in there. $150. Great investment. And then I'm going to sell the benchtop drill press. So it might even pay for, the big one, or at least 2/3 of the cost. Yeah, I think I can get $120 for that little drill press. So that's it with me. That's my whole sad week, and just waiting to hear about jobs and all that other stuff. So
I got a helicopter flying into the hospital. That's one thing about our house. We didn't realize it, and we lived on an Air Force base before this, so we're pretty used to aircraft. In fact, we actually kind of like it. We're right in the flight path for the meta flight. Yeah, for the meta flight coming into the local hospital.
I'm fascinated with helicopters.
They're pretty cool.
I like to be around them when they're landing and taking off and stuff. I've only been around like 3 in my whole life. It's pretty cool. Having been in the Air Force, I'm sure you get to see helicopters a lot more. But
I saw helicopters. I actually got to a lot of training stuff, like deploying out of helicopters. It was fun.
That sounds like fun. Is it too late for me to join the military?
Yes.
Age discrimination.
Yes.
damn it. All right. Let's wrap this puppy up, shall we?
Okay. We're getting a puppy?
Sure.
Cool.
Like you need a puppy. Oh, speaking of puppies.
I had to talk Annie out of getting a fucking dog.
Recently?
She had a friend like hit her up and say, hey, you know, we're trying to find this 3-year-old Great Pyrenees a good home because the owner like kind of neglects it and he gets out and she's like,
it's a big dog.
It's like, we could house that dog. I'm like, we have one. We just lost our other one.
Right. Yeah.
And now you want 2 big dogs that are protectors and shed a lot.
Yeah, they do.
I'm like, look, you're not thinking it through. You're thinking with your heart. You're not thinking with your head. I need you to start thinking with your head.
This one.
Yeah, this one up here. You should use that big old brain of yours and that master's degree.
I was hiding in one of our vacant lots that's being remodeled. There's 3 big buildings and a company just bought it, so they're remodeling.
You weren't hiding. You were deterring crime.
Right. And I saw, I think the first night, Saturday night, I saw this cat walking across the parking lot. A pretty big-sized cat. Just walks across the park. I hit my spotlight on him. He doesn't give a shit I'm there. He doesn't scare him away. He goes up onto this porch thing, and he's just looking up. There's a bird nest up there. He's checking it out. Then he just lays down. He's looking at me. And I was talking with a buddy. I'm like, that's a friendly cat. He goes, you don't know that's a friendly cat. And I go, my wife has been housing feral cats for 15 years. Traps some, gets them fixed. We bring kittens in. It's a fucking zoo in my house half the time. I know cats. So the next night, I'm there, see the cat. I'm with my buddy. See the cat walk by. Same thing. I start going out the window. It doesn't run off. I hit the microphone, the PA system, clicking the keying up on the mic. Doesn't care. I said, $10, I can go up and pet that cat. It's like, no fucking way. $10. I'm not betting you, but you can't touch that cat. I'm like, I get out. I'm walking up to the cat. He starts meowing at me. Meow, meow, meow. Walks around, comes towards me, goes around the side of the building. Then I just stop. I put my hand out like this. He comes right up to me, petting him, flips over on his back, rubbing his belly, meowing. He gets up. He walks between my legs. He's rubbing his head on my feet. I walk away. He comes over by me. I spent like 15 minutes with this cat. I videotaped it. I sent it to my wife because she's always trapping cats, feral cats. This one would be adopted if I can catch him. He'd let me pick him up and put him in a cage. So she told me, bring him home. We'll find him a house. So I'm going to bring some cat food tomorrow when I go back to work. And he's eating well because the airport's right across the busy highway. Yeah. And then, so it's nothing but airport property all around there. So there's got to be tons of mice and shit out there for him to eat. But I think he was a house cat. And someone let him out.
Collect on the $10?
Or he got it. No. Of course not. So I think I'll be trying to scoop him up in the next 2 nights that I work if I can. But I hate to have him sitting in a cage or a carrier for like 5 hours, but because I'm seeing him around midnight time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's got a routine, So I'll try and grab him and bring him home and then we can get him fixed. And my wife works with a number of nonprofit organizations where they have vets that will spay, neuter the cats for free. Yeah. And then they clip their ear so you know that cat has been fixed. And then she works with a bunch of organizations that foster the cats or kittens. And if they're adoptable like this one, they get adopted.
Nice.
So we'll work on it'll be part of my fun work. Oh, maybe Thursday night when I have my niece riding with me. We'll go see if we can't trap a cat.
There you go. That'd be your
This is what police work is about.
This is the secret mission we're going on.
Yeah. So if someone wants to leave us a message or a question.
Oh, we don't have any questions?
No. Once again, Miss David Franklin.
We need to call in a welfare check on David. I'm concerned.
I think we should.
Okay. Well, anyways, if anyone else wants to try to take David's spot as the number one fan of the show, you can send voice recorded questions to handcuffs and sawdust podcast at gmail.com. You can ask Mike by DMing him at Marazzo Woodworking. You can DM me over at Full House Woodworking, or you can DM the show over at Handcuffs and Sawdust Podcast. All of it on Instagram. Although I think we're also on Facebook. All of us are on Facebook as well.
We are. Yeah,
but nobody does anything with Facebook, it seems like.
Because Nelson set up our Facebook administration page, and I don't know if I have the password. I've been in it a couple times.
Don't send things to Handcuffs and Sawdust Podcast at Facebook.
Right.
You can do it on Gmail. You can do it on Instagram. Do not do it on Facebook. My son Nelson got his master's degree. He graduated.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
Congratulations, Nelson.
Congratulations, Nelson. Woohoo! All right, that's it for me and Brandon. Stay safe in the shop and on the streets. Peace.
Deuces.
Booyah! And scene.
Boom shakalaka.
All right, it's midnight, which means lunchtime before I start that CNC and crank out this, hopefully, get this bottle opener done tonight.
Yeah, you just set it and forget it. It's like a Bronco rotisserie thing?
Yeah. Here's what I had to do.
Remember that.
Right? The back of it, where she wants all these engravings, I have a keyhole here. Then the middle is where the magnets are. And then there's a keyhole here. So I had to measure with a measuring unit thing. And I'm guessing. Yeah. On the CNC, I have to guess. I think I have my dots set at 1/4 inch each measurement. So I had to guess where she wants a Roman numeral down here. And she wants the saying, I love you 3000 up here. So when I engrave it, I have to do this. Cross my fingers.
This is where your laser is going to come in so handy. Because you can guess like that, and then you can move your laser to that exact point.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then you can fire the laser at, like, say, 5% power.
Okay.
And you'll see exactly where it hits. And you can, it's called frame. You can frame it, and it'll go around the area that it will engrave.
Oh,
so you can make sure
it's in that area.
You have it set where you want it. So this is one of those times where you need to get that laser up and going, because you could have that done relatively quickly.
Yeah, I wouldn't even
like from design to engraved in under an hour.
Yeah, that would be because I'm going to be engraving it with a 60-degree V-bit, and I had to paint the back because she wanted gold lettering, and the gold lettering on the plain poplar wood wouldn't stand out, so I ended up painting the back, which I normally never do. So that's the only issue I'm going to have. The front is 3 engravings, the outline of the helmet, then all the interior of the helmet, and then I got to put more aura mask over that so it does the eyes. Then I can paint that, then pull, or no, I engrave the helmet first, paint that, then put aura mask over that again, then it does the eyes, then paint that. So it's a process. So we'll see. All right, I'm going to go.